Apyayantamamangani Pakpranasyakshushrotramatho balamindriyani cha sarvani Sarvam brahmopanishadam Maham brahmanira kuryam Mama brahmanira karut Anirakaranamastu anirakaranam me astu Tadatmani nirateya upanishatsu Brahma me mai santu Te mai santu Om Shanti Shanti Shantihim. May quietness descend upon my limbs, my speech, my breath, my eyes, my ears. May all my senses wax clear and strong. May Brahman show himself unto me. May I never deny Brahman, nor Brahman me. I with him and he with me. May we abide always together. May there be revealed to me who am devoted to Brahman, the holy truth of the Upanishads. Om, peace, 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 be unto all. This morning our subject is Thoughts on the Gita, part 75. We are studying the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Akshar Brahma Yoga, the way of the imperishable Brahman. In the beginning of this chapter, Arjuna asked few questions. What is Brahman? What is Atman or Shagun Brahman? What is karma? What is this creation? Who is living in the all living beings? Who is Odhijajna, means sacrifice? Who gives the result of our actions? And my final question, Prana Kale, at the time of death, how can we know you? That is a very important question. Will you be with us? These are the questions Arjuna asked on behalf of all humanity. Gita teaches the mystery of life and death, which you do not learn from the science. Science can teach us various things, no doubt. The origin of the human body, sperm, ova meet together, and how a child is born in the womb of our mothers. And then is born, it grows, it develops, and then it dies. The science teaches us the circulatory system, digestive system, how the kidneys and the hearts and the other vital organs are functioning in the body. Science teaches those things. But the science does not teach that how does the soul reborn and what happens after death. Those things I'll have to know from the rishis, the scriptures, which are the revelations of the seers of truth. Well, how do they know? They developed sixth sense. We generally perceive the world through five senses. Through meditation, through spiritual illumination, they develop sixth sense. Through that they know things which we do not know. With open eyes, I cannot see your lungs. But if I put an X-ray there and the whole picture of the lungs so we can see and what is wrong, everything we can see. So they developed some kind of X-ray vision. They can see how the soul goes. But Sri Ramakrishna was telling, I saw when my nephew died, how his soul is departing from the body. I saw how when Mothu died, how his soul is leaving the body, how he went to Devi Loka. I can see. You do not see, I do not see. That is the reason we will have to know these scriptures, the Gita, the Upanishads. Gita or Vedanta teaches the whole spectrum of human life. Every human being has three things. You have a body, you have a mind, and you have the Atman. Just see how it works. Body, mind, and Atman. If we live in the physical plane, in the body plane all the time, then we are like animals. There is no difference between animal and man regarding eating, sleeping, begetting children, and fear. These four things are similar to man and animal. So day and night, if you live in physical plane, you are living in an animal plane. Same human being can live in the mental plane. Manonushila jiva. Human beings can think. Human beings can discriminate between the real and the unreal, which other beings cannot do. So if you live in the mental plane, that means you are a man or a woman. And if you live in the spiritual plane, that is in the Atman, then only you are spiritual, you are divine. So each human being you can be an animal, you can be a man, you can be God. It is really something to understand about this Vedanta philosophy, how it works. Check yourself where most of your mind is. Are you in the spiritual plane, or in the physical plane, or in the intellectual plane? I remember when I joined, an old monk taught me, "My boy, listen. Try to stay in the spiritual plane with the Atman or God most of the time. If you cannot, come one step down. Intellectual plane. Study the scriptures. Have the company of the holy. Listen. Get knowledge from these wise people. If you cannot do that, come one step down. Physical plane. Physical plane, you need some food. You need some rest. Give food and rest to the body, remaining time work for God. Karma yoga. That he taught me. Spiritual plane, intellectual plane, and physical plane. This is the secret of a spiritual life. We shall start chapter 8, verse 21. Avyakta akshara itukta tamahu paramam gotim yam prapana nivartante tadhama paramam mama. We are toward the end of this chapter. There are 28 verses in this chapter. Now he is talking about Abhyakta, the unmanifest. Akshara, which never decays, never perishes. That is the supreme goal of human life. That is our home. In the computer or in some newspaper, we say home. Home. That home is Brahman. Again, that Upanishad tells us, Yato va imani bhutani jayanti, yena jatani jivanti, yat prayanta visam vishanti, tad vijighasasva, tad brahmeti. From where this whole creation evolves, where it remains, and where it merges, that is Brahman. So we come from God, we go back to God, but we are unaware of it. Paramam gotim, goti means goal. Sometimes when we read the Upanishads, these verses, it flashes. There is a mantra I sometimes repeat that mantra from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Esha isya paramagatihi, esha isya paramasampad, esha isya paramaloka, esha isya paramananda, etasya yananda isya annani bhutani matra upajivanti. When I read it, I can see the whole picture of human life. A Brahman is the supreme goal. It is the supreme wealth. It is the supreme abode. It is the supreme bliss. All human beings live in this world taking a particle of that bliss. The bliss which we get in this family, in the worldly life, it is just some sparks, some sprinkles of that fountain of bliss that is Brahman. A worldly joy is just a sprinkle. It is not the fountain. Fountain is that Brahman, Sachidananda. There is another word is there. Jam pratyana nivartante tadhama paramamgatin. Dham. Dham means abode. Each person needs an abode to live. Otherwise you will be homeless. Last 2 days, one person was sleeping on our porch. Homeless. We need an abode. After the whole day work, we need some rest. We need a place to live. What is that abode? Where can we get rest? That Krishna says, Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam. Vishnu, God, He is the supreme abode. There you can take rest. Sometimes I tell people when I give interview, do you have a shrine in your home? That is your resting place. You may be in turmoil, so many problems, this and that, whole day, working place, in the family, this and that. Go sit there. The moment you go to the shrine, you are really living in the abode of God. And called upasana. Upa means near, asana means sit. At that time we sit very close to God. That is called upasana. It is extremely important in a spiritual life. Otherwise you will be in the, as I said, in the animal plane. You have plenty of money, good food, good sleep, good enjoyment. What is next? When death comes, you are afraid to go. Here Krishna will train Arjuna how to die. So he is preparing the ground. Tadhama, I am the abode. Take rest with me. You will get perfect rest. Tadhamu, Dhamu. Brahman is all pervading. But Ishvara has a dham, abode. We will go to Puri, we go to Benares, we will go to Madurai, Rameshwaram. These are the abodes of gods. When we go in for pilgrimage, we really feel uplifted. Why? Because that is the dhamo, that is the abode of God. God is everywhere, but He mainly manifested in your shrine, in the temple. That is the reason people go to the temple. God is everywhere. But there is more manifestation. Who makes that place holy? Pilgrims. Through your tears, through your prayer, through your worship, through your love, through your devotion, you make that place vibrant. I have seen, I used to go to Benares, 4 o'clock in the morning. Men, women, jeeping in the Ganges with that white cloth, how they come and show devotion to Lord Shiva. It is seen in winter time, shivering. They have nobody idea. I used to go hardly 4 o'clock in the morning in the temples in Benares. Dhamo. Make God is your home. Jam pratva nanivate. If you reach that Dhamo, you will never return to this world. Because he will float in bliss. Who comes to the back to the world? In this sloka 1, reaching which there is no return. Earlier we had come across that word avash, helpless. The helplessness will disappear when you realize this great truth, the supreme reality of Brahman. Advakta. Sometimes we feel very lonely, alone. Krishna will tell us, we need a companion. That companion who will never, never, never leave us. That companion is your Atman, your God, all the time living with us. Purushasa para partha bhakta lebhyastu ananyaya yasanta sthani bhutani jena sarvamidam tatam. And that supreme Purusha is attainable, O son of Pritha, by whole soul devotion to him alone, in whom all beings dwell, and by whom all this is pervaded. Purusha. It is a beautiful word, Purusha. Purusha means Puri, Shayanath. Puri means sitting. Shayanath means sleeping. God is always sleeping in the heart, that is this city of human soul. There God is always living. He is sleeping. We'll have to awaken. That's all. That is called religion. Another word, Purusha means Purnatva, who fills up, fulfills everything. That is called Purusha. He, Arjuna, Partha, Sa Parapurusha, can be attained. Labhya, it can be attained. Don't think it is unattainable. How? Bhakta to ananyaya. One-pointed love. There are many commentaries on that word. We have love for many things. Our love is scattered everywhere. I love one of my devotees used to tell me in Laguna, Swami, my husband loves his boat more than he loves me. We love our boat, we love our wife, husband, children, family, father, mother, everybody. Our love is scattered. Check yourself everywhere. But here Krishna says, Ananyaya. It is a special one-pointed love. Love for the Atman, for the self. Everybody loves the Atman. Atmanastu kamaya priyo bhavati. Everything becomes loving because of the Atman inside. You love your husband not for the sake of the husband, but for the sake of the self. You love your wife not for the sake of the wife, but for the sake of the self. Do you know what? You see yourself inside your husband, inside your wife. You feel your husband's pain is your pain. Husband also feels my wife's pain is my pain. How these souls are interconnected. It is amazing. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is the least priyo bhavati, priyo bhavati. This is the way it becomes lovable. It becomes lovable to us because of the Atman, because of the self behind. The moment Atman is there, take the body to the mortuary, left on mortuary. That's all. It is the Atman that we love. We do not love the body actually. If there is no Atman in the body is dead, corpse. We do not love it. This Vedanta teaches that what is vital in this human system, which is the Atman, self. Body, one day it was born, one day it will die. It is not the body. But this body is the tabernacle, is the temple of God. You must take care of your body. You must give food, good exercise to the body so that it can function well. And Jivan Mukti, liberation, is possible only through human body. This body is a vehicle. It will take us to our destination. Do not neglect the body. Labhyastu ananyaya. This ananya, love, devotion, worshipper and worship become one. It is called ahangraha upasana. I am the Atman. Shankara says, Atma Vishayaka Bhakti. This bhakti is always going, loving the Atman. I love my Atman. I love my Atman. Yasyanta sthani bhutani yena sarvamidam tatam. And that Supreme Purusha is attainable, O son of Pritha, by wholesale devotion to Him alone, in whom all beings dwell and by whom all this is pervaded. Brahman pervades everything, every being. Again, He dwells in every human heart. Swami Vivekananda major remark, Vedantic concept of God. It is a democratic concept of God. You know, Swamiji major remark that America is a very good country for Vedanta. Why? America, it is the country of the love freedom. And freedom is the song of the soul. Vedanta teaches that freedom. Second, America loves democracy, not monarchy nor other kinds of government. Democracy. And Vedantic concept of God is a democratic concept of God. You are God, she is God, I am God, he is God, everybody is God. So Swamiji says Vedanta has a better place in America than other countries. They love freedom and they love democracy. And each soul is potentially divine. You know, the search for divinity within, that is religion. That Swamiji defined religion. Religion is the manifestation of divinity already in human beings. Religion is not an elephant or tiger or something like that. It is how to manifest the divinity. As I said, we have three things: body, mind, and the Atman. How to find out the Atman? That is called religion. You will not have to read the Encyclopedia Britannica or dictionary. Know thyself, Atmanam Vidhi. Know thyself. That is religion. That Swamiji said. How to achieve union with Him? Bhakta. Only through bhakti can one reach Him. What kind of bhakti? Ananya bhakti, which is one-pointed devotion. Mind does not go to anything else. That kind of devotion, Ananya bhakti, Ekanta bhakti, these are various terms and mean one-pointed devotion. Through that devotion alone can one realize that Supreme Purusha. I was reading Billamangal, a drama by Girish Chandra Ghosh. Girish, that Billamangal was walking, he was going to his, that prostitute, that what is called that Chintamani. And by the side of the road, a holy person was meditating and he stumbled on him. That holy person, the yogi said, "You do not have eyes. What are you doing? You do not see? Then Bilamunga says, thinking of a courtesan, I forgot the world. And thinking of God, you could not forget the world. I am walking through the streets, I do not know. Sheep occupied my mind. I am carried away by heart thought. You know, that is the sign of love. The person you love, you carry that person in your heart. The thing which you love, that thing you carry in your heart. That is the way, that is called Ananya Bhakti. All the time that God occupies the mind of a real devotee. In many ways. Sign, Bhabe Hashe Kande Nache Gaye, Sri Ramakrishna said. When that ecstatic love comes, sometimes he smiles, sometimes he cries, sometimes he sings, sometimes he dances out of joy. When we read the Gospel of Ramakrishna, we see if something is going on all the time. How to experience God in many ways that we find in the Gospel of Ramakrishna. How to make the life interesting and exciting. That is the American word. Always we need some excitement. Partha Tuadanya Jasyant Para. Yes. Para Partha. Para means supreme. Sa Kastha Sa Paragoti. That is the Kastha. That is the highest. That is the culmination of human experience. That we find in our Puranas, Prahlada, Dhruva, many saints, they develop this kind of supreme devotion. Swami Vivekananda said, love is a triangle. The first angle of the love triangle is love knows no fear. Where there is fear, there cannot be any love. Second, love knows no bargaining. Love cannot be bought. I shall give you $1 million, will you love me? It does not work. And love for love's sake. That is Ananya Bhakti. I love without any expectation. Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan said, we don't love God, we use God. We want God to please do these things, that thing. Then Swami quoted from the Bhagavatam, they take delight in the infinite self, Hari, Nirgrantha, the illumined soul. They have no bondage at all. Yet they constantly practice this kind of ahituki bhakti, motiveless devotion. That is the nature of Hari. So great is Hari that he draws to himself the hearts not of ordinary people, but of extraordinary people like Shuka and Prahlada. Their illumined souls, still they carry love, devotion for God. Now there are two paths. Coming and going. Yatra kale tu anavrittim avrittim jaiva yogina prayata janti tam kalam bhakshyami bharatarshava. Now I shall tell you, O great among the Bharatas, of the time path traveling on which the yogis do not return, and again of that taking which they do return. Agni jyoti haha shukla sanmasas uttarayanam tatra prayata gacchanti brahma brahma vido jana. Fire, flame, daytime, and bright fortnight, 6 months of the northern passage of the sun, taking this path, The knowers of Brahman go to Brahman. Anavrittim and avrittim, coming and going. Coming, anavrittim means at that time they do not come. Avrittim means they come. Recycling. So all these souls you see, they are recycled. I remember I used to play badminton with an actor in Hollywood. So one Saturday she came to play with me. Uncle, I cannot play. Why, Swami? I'll have to prepare a lecture. What is your topic? Reincarnation. You don't need any preparation, Swami. Uncle, why? See my car. It was manufactured in Japan. It became old, ran Freeway 101, smashed, sent back to Japan, recycled, again came as Toyota, again ran Freeway 101, again it was smashed back to Japan, recycled. Just tell about my car, the American people will understand what is reincarnation. I shall never forget. We have seen some movie house. Entrance, exit. Entrance, exit. So this world is a stage. Entrance, exit. You may act, we are all acting. In Panchadoshi, there is a chapter called Natoko Deepa. Natoko means theater, Deepa. But on the stage, actors and actresses, they do not stay all the time. You dance, dance, then you go, then I shall come, then another person will come. This is the stage is continuously bringing new actors and actresses. So this world is a stage. We are all acting. Acting as a Swami, as a doctor, as an engineer, as father, mother. We are all acting. Vanavrittim avrittim chaiva yogina. Then, according to Vedanta, there are three kinds of liberation. Kurma mukti, Vidhu mukti, Jivan mukti. Kurma mukti means gradual liberation. Do you know what gradual liberation means? You die, but you did so much virtues. Still, little bit desire is there. So do you know what will happen? You will go to the higher realm. Bhu, Bhuva, Sa, Maha, Jana, Tapa, Satya. There are 7 higher realms are there. So you go one after another. It depends upon how much virtue you make. You go in these lokas and stay. Some come back. But some, they go to Brahma Loka, Satya Loka. From there, they wait. Then whole things become purified. Then an illumined being comes and takes that soul and merges into Brahman. It does not come back. From the dualistic standpoint, there are also various kinds of mukti, liberation. Saruppo, Sajajya, Salokko, Shasti. Salokko. Saruppo means you will get, I love Shiva. I will get, my look will be like Shiva. Salokko, I will live in the abode of Shiva. Sajajya, I will be united with Shiva. Saruppo. And then Shasti, I shall get equal power of Shiva. This is the dualistic kind of liberation. The yogis do not return, and some return. Those who have desires will come back. Holy Mother used to say, even if you have a desire to reach a kanji or a shandesh, you will have to come back. Think of that, how many desires you have. Sri Ramakrishna even telling Balaram, I saw a beautiful shawl. A person came, perhaps I like to have it. That kind, perhaps I will be born again for a shawl. Sir, I shall buy a shawl for you. I mean, he was seeing that shawl. I like your shawl. Sri Ramakrishna said, perhaps I will have to be born again for a shawl. Thakur has some strange eye. Shanmasa Uttarayanam Dakshinayanam. You will have to understand this Indian system of this time. Look, this is the way it works. Pausha Sankranti to Ashad Sankranti, that means 15th of January to 15th of April is called Uttarayanam. Do you know what does it mean? What do you see? You see sun rises from the east and goes to the west. That you see. But these 6 months, the sun takes the northern path. Days are longer, nights are shorter. The sun goes to the northern route. 6 months. We are rising from the Illinois height and then going to this way. That is called 6 months you will find sun will take the northern route. And 6 months he will go to the southern route. Days are shorter, night is longer. So this, what does it mean? It's very interesting. What does it mean? It means daytime you are more awakened. The sun is the symbol of God. So you are more awakened. You can do more work, more spiritual disciplines. At night, you go to sleep, you do not any work, you enjoyment and all those things you do at night. That is the period. That is the bhoga-vritti, the path of enjoyment. And this path of knowledge, path of illumination. So these are the two paths. In the Mahabharata, it has been elaborately described. It has been described these two paths. Why the yogis love to die in the northern path, not in the southern path. Bhishma stayed on the arrows waiting for the northern path. That my time has not yet come. I shall die when the sun will start to move toward the northern way. That is called Uttarayanam and Dakshinayanam. Middle of January, May till middle of July, northern path, and middle of July to middle of January is the southern path. Very interesting. Time. These paths are not in science. During my college days, I used to read a book, Moronir Pare, Life Beyond Death by Vedananda. It was a fascinating book. What happens after death? I used to read and read and read that book. Dhumo Ratri Tatha Krishna Shanmasha Dakshinayanam Tatra Chandra Masam Jyoti Yogi Pratvanivart. Smoke, night time, the dark fortnight, the 6 months of the southern passage of the sun, taking this path, the yogi, attaining the lunar light, returns. The second path is through the south. Fire has both smoke and fire. Therefore, smoke also is a part of fire. So that was the path mentioned earlier, that is the smoke path. The smoke, nighttime, dark fortnight, 6 months of the southern movement of the sun. Taking this path, the yogi, attaining the lunar light, returns. These are the two paths mentioned in the Chandogya Upanishad. I shall read to you. You will get a clear picture instead of how a person dies. The process of it is from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. When the embodied self apparently becomes weak and loses the power of discrimination, here the conditions of the body and other adjuncts are attributed to the self. The organs come to it, completely withdrawing these particles of light. The organs and their functions, it comes to the heart because the regions of consciousness is withdrawn and becomes manifest only in the heart. When the presiding deity of the eye turns back from all sides, when the eye fails to receive the light of the sun, the man cannot notice color. Further, it is said that every organ and the mind as well become united with the subtle body of the dying man. The eye becomes united with the subtle body. Then people say, he does not see. The nose becomes so united, then they say, he does not smell. The tongue becomes united with then they say, he does not taste. The vocal organ becomes united, then they say, he does not speak. The ear becomes united, then they say, he does not hear. The mind becomes united, then they say, he does not think. The skin, the organ of touch becomes united, then they say, he does not touch. The buddhi, cognitive mind becomes united, then they say, he does not know. After all the 10 organs and the mind, antakarana, and the 5 pranas unite within the heart, the self leaves the body. How? The same Upanishad describes. You know, very interesting. Do you know which organ goes last? Ear. Generally in India, when a person is about to die, we repeat mantra. Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna, Hari Om Ramakrishna. We repeat. Or Ram Nam Satya Hai, Ram Nam Satya Hai. Or Krishna, Krishna. We repeat some God's name near the ear of a dying person so that he can remember God, and taking that thought, he can depart from this body. That is the reason we Namde, Namde. When that person is dying, repeat the mantra, repeat the mantra. Otherwise, that person may think something else. That is the reason we make that person's journey smooth, spiritual journey, you see. The top nerve end of the heart brightens, impressions of karma gathered in the mind are lit up by the luminous self as the dream state. Those thoughts, experiences, and desires that prevail at the time determine the way of the self departs. Coming out through the brightened top, the self departs through the eye, or through the head, or through the other aperture of the body. When it departs, the prana follows. When prana departs, all the organs follow. The self is accompanied by prana, and all the organs, including the mind, in fact, they live together. Do you know how it works? The moment you see that before there was a dying person, ওর বাক নিরোধ হয়ে গেছে, he cannot talk. That means his speech is gone. That power is gone. Similarly, I cannot, can you see me? Can you see me? Can you see me? That person cannot see. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? We sometimes ask a dying person, I cannot hear. Do you know what? At that time, all these organs are withdrawing and going to that subtle body, which will depart. Then prana. Then, do you know what happens? Speech merges into the mind. Mind merges into prana. Prana is the energy which will shoot, just like a rocket, which will shoot. That prana, when even the prana departs, do you know at that time, do you know what you do? You touch the body. Hey, the body is still warm, still is alive. That is Udana Vayu. Udana. Heat. Heat remains in the body even after death, quite a time. Then when the body is completely cold, that means he is dead. I saw whether Pope is dead or not, what do they do? They hit his head 3 times. I read the thing, that is the way they declare the Pope is dead. They hit on the head. I hope nobody will hit on your head. A knower of Shagun Brahman leaves the body through the aperture in the crown of the head, which is called Brahmarandra. He goes to Brahmaloka, from where there is no return to the mortal plane. The soul departing by other channels are subject to rebirth. Shankara says, although the brightening of the top of the heart is the same for him who has the knowledge of Shagun Brahman and for him who does not have the knowledge, and although the exit is lighted up thereby, yet the knower of Shagun Brahman departs invariably from the crown of the head, whereas other departs from other parts of the body. Why? It is due to the power of knowledge. Anyhow, on the eve of the soul's departure, as I told you already, that one, around a dying man afflicted with the infirmities of age, my dear son, his relatives gather and ask, do you know me? Do you know me? He recognizes them as long as his organ of speech is not withdrawn into his mind into the prana, vital air, and prana into the heat, udana, and the heat, udana, into Supreme Being. But when his organ of speech is drawn into his mind, the mind into his prana, the prana into the heat, udana, and the heat, udana, into the Supreme Being, then he does not know them. This is the way it goes. And what goes with us? Three things. The Yajnavalkya was asked, oh, holy man, could you tell me what goes with us? In the Bible we read, naked came I from the mother's womb, naked shall I return thither. We came naked, we shall go naked. Nothing will go with us. Only three things will go with us. Vidya, karma, purva, prajna. Vidya, knowledge, wisdom, which you have gathered in this life, they will go with you. Karma, good and bad, whatever you have done, they will go with you. Purva, prajna, your past samaskaras, impressions. These three things will go with us. Krishna says, Shukla Krishna goti hi te jagata shashvate mate ekaya jati anavrittim annaya avartate punaha. Truly, are these bright and dark paths of the world considered eternal? One leads to non-return, by the other, one returns. Shukla Krishna. Sometimes it's called path of light, path of smoke, path of God, path of Pitri, manis. That is the way they divided these two paths, twofold journey of the soul. This path, northern path, you will never come back. You have no desire. Southern path, you have desire, you will have to come back. That's all. Very simple. Nasapnura vartate. The Vedanta scripture mentioned about Bhojita Bija, fried seed. Perhaps it is a bunch of peanut. You roasted them and then put it in the ground. You put fertilizer, water. They will never be sprouted because it is all fried. But if it is raw peanut, if you put in the ground, sprout will come. So if you have no desire, you will not come. You will never come back. But we have desires. We want to come back. We have so many desires. Buddha called it tanha. Tanha means trishna, thirst for life. This tanha, he killed them. And when an illumined soul dies, do you know how do they die? Natasya prana utkramanti. His prana does not leave the body. Iva pravilyanti. It merges here into Supreme Brahman. How? Here is a hot plate. You put one drop of water there, immediately that drop of water evaporates. So when an illumined soul dies, his individual, that Atman, merges into Supreme Brahman instantly. Shukli, Krishna, Gati, these two paths, white and dark, they are eternal paths for people to take after death. By one path, when you go, you don't return to this world again. Slowly, slowly you achieve Brahman. In the other path you go, but come back again to this world after enjoying the fruits of your good actions in some heaven. That is the characteristics of Pitrijana or Dakshinayana. But the heaven is not a good place in Vedanta. It is a horrible place. Why? Just enjoy, nothing to do. There is no karma there. A human body has karma. An animal body does not have any karma. Divine body does not have any karma. Just result the fruit of your actions. You did a lot of virtues. See Udboshi, Tilottama, Rambha, they are singing and dancing for you. And then when the result of action will be consumed, you will have to come back again to this world. That says, Kshine Punye Martalokam Vishanti. Krishna says, Kshine Punye, when the virtue will be ended, you put $1 million in the bank and you are very extravagant, buying. When $1 million is over, again you will be homeless. You have nothing. So, heaven is not a good place to me. Goal of Vedanta is not heaven. Mukti, liberation, Brahman. That is the goal of Vedanta. Naite sriti partha janan yogi muishati kanchana kashana tasma sarveshu bhuti sarveshu kaleshu yoga yukta bhavarjuna. No yogi, O son of Pritha, is deluded after knowing these paths. Therefore, O Arjuna, be you steadfast in yoga at all times. Yoga means union with God. Tasmat yogi bhavarjuna, be a yogi. But now in America, millions of yogis. Those who practice hatha yoga, they claim that Swami, we are yogis. Or Swami, our Seattle Swami was telling one devotee, I do not see you for a long time. Where have you been? Swami, I am practicing yoga. Well, we can also teach you yoga, but Swami, you can teach, but that God is so beautiful. The yoga teacher, she is so beautiful, Swami. You can teach that. So there are millions of yogis are now in this country. How to be a yogi? The whole Gita is yoga. All 18 chapters are yogas. These 18 chapters teach us how we can unite ourselves with God. Naite sriti partha. Janun. Janun means let me give an example, then we will understand what Janun means. Janun means knowing fully, convincingly, but 100% sure this is the way. Suppose, perhaps you have seen I saw some housing districts. You start here, then there's a big circle. There are homes. Again you come here. There is no going out. Only one way out. But there are many homes are there on this big circle, and then again come here. So this man is 100% sure that if I go this way, I will not have to get out. I will have to come back from the same place. There is no other way. So Jnana means the soul knows that if I go the southern path, that means in this way I shall go Chandra Loka, or the other Loka. Again I will have to come back this Mortha Loka, in this world. So he knows this 100% sure. The place I started my journey, I will have to come back to the same place. That is called Janun. I know 100% that I will have to be born again in this world and suffer through all these things. So he does not, he never get deluded. Yogi, na mujhuti question. He never get deluded. He knows the path. So why Krishna is describing these two paths to Arjuna? You know the path. Then you know which path you will take. That is our wisdom. In our front, two paths are there, Preyo and Shreyo. Pleasant and good. Pleasant, just temporarily, it is very nice, sweet, but good is permanent. So this is the two paths I explained to you. You select, you move. Which path do you like? That Krishna is talking about. The yogi is expounded by the Gita in this verse. The word yogi is applied to anybody and everybody who has lived the spiritual life even a little. But the Gita has given this second chapter, the two wonderful expositions of the yogi. Yoga, karmoshu, kaushalam. Skill in action called yoga. Samattam yoga uchate. Equanimity of the mind is called yoga. That is the way Krishna describes yoga in the Bhagavad Gita. In some other Christian or the theology, you go, then there's a day of judgment. If you do right, you will be rewarded in heaven. If you do wrong, you will be punished in hell. That is the way they describe heaven and earth. So, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu, Krishna is telling, sarveshu kaleshu, most of all the time, think of me. Till you go to sleep, till you die, think of God. Amazing. Next verse. Vedeshu yajneshu taposhu chaiva daneshu jat punyaphalam pradishtam attiti sat sarvam idam viditva yogi param sthanam upaiti chadyam. Whatever meritorious effect is declared in the scriptures, to accrue them, the study of the Vedas, the performance of yajnas, the practices of austerities and gifts, above all these rises the yogi. Having known this and attains to the primeval supreme abode, here and now. This is the last verse of the Gita, of the 88th chapter of the Gita. He is telling that, you know, what are you looking for? I want to attain virtue, I want to go to heaven. If you go to heaven, what do? You study the Vedas, you get the knowledge of God and all those things. What else you do? You perform Vedic sacrifice, various kinds of rituals. You go to the temples, perform rituals. Next, what do? You give charity so that you can get virtue. What else you do? Tapa. You practice austerities. These are the four things you do for going to heaven. But the yogi, attiti, he does not go that path. It is called the path of Abhuddhaya. He does not take that path. He attiti. His goal is that Purusha. Punyaphalam padishtam. Attiti sarvamidam viditva yogi param sthanam upaiti dibbam. Supreme abode. As I told you, abode, that is God, that is Brahman. Where we go, that is our real home. There he goes. And those who do not try to realize God in this life, what happens to them? The Upanishad tells us, Atmohano jana, they commit suicide. Asurja namoti loka andhena tamsabritaha Tagyaste prattavigachanti je kechatmano janaha. It is in the Ishopanishad. They go to the path of darkness, blinded darkness, as if it is a kind of suicide. Janan, know this path, then you move. Think of God. Then you will reach God. Moreover, grace is there. If you step one step toward God, God will come hundreds of steps toward you. Just make an effort. Just start your journey. Spiritual life, I must practice. You know, these teachings help us. That's what we are supposed to do. It is good to know that there are some things which we can do. We can start our spiritual journey, which will give us peace, bliss, and liberation. Thank you. Mukam karuti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripa tamaham bandi paramananda madhavam. I bow down to that ever blissful Krishna, by whose grace the lame scale mountains and the dumb become eloquent. May Krishna be the guide of all life. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace.